Okay, so we're at Daf Chesed Aleph today, and so we discussed previously in a case when you have three chatzeres next to each other, and the chatzeres they're each independent chatzeres. They have their own opening to the Rosh Hashanah, but they also have an opening to each other. Now, what happens? So really, the chatzeres they have to make a Eruv. In order they should be able to carry between themselves, they have to make an Eruv. Now, but what happened was that the second, the chatzah to the right and the center one made an Eruv between themselves. The chatzah to the left and the center one made the Eruv between themselves. So there are three opinions over here. One opinion is according to Rabbi Shimon in the Mishnah. According to Rabbi Shimon in the Mishnah, then the right can use the center as well. Use the center chotzer. Left can use the center chotzer, and center chotzer can use both. But the right can't use the right chotzer can't use the left chotzer. That's in the Mishnah. But there's another opinion. That's Rabbi Shimon's opinion in the Mishnah. Chacham argue totally against it. They say that each in such a scenario, the Eruvin are invalid, and each chasser remains, even though they made an Eruv, they're also to carry between each other. The right is also to carry to the center, and the center and the left also to the center, and they remain. The Eruvin has been invalid. According to Rabbi Shimon, another opinion of Rabbi Shimon, is that's the opinion of Shmuel. The opinion of Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon is that he says you cannot have one chotzer has a right to mix with two separate domains. You cannot have the center one, so the center one can't use the right and the left. So the right is able to use the center because it made Eruv. The left chotzer is able to use the center because it made the Eruv. But the center one should be able to use the center cannot make an Eruv with two separate domains, and those domains, and if it all becomes one domain, that's one rishus, that's one thing. But the one rishus should become part of two rishus. The one rishus cannot become part of two rishus and use. And it means anyway it comes part because the right can use it and the left can use it, but the center one cannot use two other rishus which are not connected to each other. So two individual rishus which are one rishus cannot be connected. They should be able to use two other rishus when those rishus are not having a connection between them. And that's so that was the opinion of Shmuel. We're now going to bring a raya. Sorry, I say Daf Ches. Sorry, it's Daf Tesam about. This is Daf Tesam about. So we're not going to bring a raya to Shmuel. Okay, so that's the way we're on to Daf Tesam about. Some say. So Tanya Kavasi der Yehuda Ali b'Shmuel. Shmuel. We learned in the Brayse, which actually the version brought in the Brayse is like Shmuel. Rabbi Shimon. This is the words of the Brayse. Lomad Lamad Dov Adleima. So what is it compared? The case we're talking about, the case of the Tchumen, when the Tchumen overlap. We'll not discuss that. We will not discuss that now. So the case with the Tchumen overlap, Lamad Dov Adleima. So the Sholosh Chatzeres Psuchos Uvuzu, the three Chatzeres which are open to each other, Psuchos Shosharabin, they're open to the Shosharabin. Means they're individually independent Chatzeres, but they're also open to each other. So Irbush Tamim and Metzoyes. So the two of them, they made an Eruv with the middle. They did not make an Eruv for all three of them. They just made two Eruvin. Each one made an Eruv with the middle one. Is Zumiviyam base of Icheles. So this one, this chotzer can bring from its house and eat in the middle one. Zumiviyam base of Icheles. The other chotzer can also bring to the middle one and eat. Zumach Zeres. This one, this one can bring back bring it back into the chotzer, and the other one also they bring it back. So there's no mention at all of the middle one, that the middle one can use the other two. So why is no mention? Because that Brayse does that Brayse is a version of Rabbi Shimon that holds that the middle one, it cannot have the use to disconnected chatzeres. Al Chachamim says Shlosh Nasuros. So the Chachamim say that this in such a situation, all the Eruvin are invalid, and so that each Chotzer remains on its own, and you can use the other ones. Says the Gemara, all the Shmuel Tameh, the Shmuel goes according to his reason. So we find in another case. Shmuel said Chotzer Shebishnim Voice, Chotzer, which is so. What's the reason? The reason is that you cannot have one rishus to be a participant and to be a participant and a use. You can have a use of two separate rishuyos which are not interconnected. That kind of either they're all connected together, but they're not connected. You can't have one rishus has the use of two other rishus which are not connected. The Shmuel said so you have streets, small sites, small side streets which are called mavui. Then you have a chotzer. So every mavui as street has chatzeres. Chotzer has a few houses in each chotzer. But this chotzer, it goes from one street to the other street. So the chotzer is borders or is connected to both streets. Because the chotzer goes from one street. The chotzer runs from one street and back of the chotzer runs to the other street. And it has an opening in both directions. But if it's closed off in one direction, then it's connected to one chotzer. But it has doors to both mevois, so it's connected to both mevois. So what does it say? So Shmuel said, Eruvin Mishnayim, if the chotzer made an Eruvin, it participated in the Shtufim mevois. The Shtufim mevois means that all the chatzeres in the mavui, besides you're putting the kari and the lechi, they also have to participate in food. All the chatzeres have to participate in food, and you put the food in one of the chatzeres. And that's one of the chatzeres of that mavui. So this chotzer, it participated in both of the mevois, but these mevois, they're independent mevois. But it gave a bit of food for this one, and gave a bit of food for the other one. So then, Eruvin Mishnayim, Masurim Mishnayim. So it's also to you. Why this is why is it also? So you cannot carry from the chotzer to any one of the movie. Why? Because you cannot have one chotzer have the use of other domains, the two domains which are not connected. What happens if it didn't make an error? This is the chotzer which is between the movies. The chotzer to the movies loy Eruvin Mishnayim. It didn't make an error with either of them. It didn't participate in the So then it makes it invalidates both mevois. It invalidates the Eruvin, whichever you want to call it. It invalidates the Eruvin of both mevois. Why? Because if you have one chotzer in the movie which does not participate in the one chotzer does not participate with the mavui, so then it invalidates. All the chatzeres have to participate in the Eruv of that mavui. If one of them doesn't, then the Eruv is invalid. Now, since so this one is connected to both, it is connected to both, practically, and therefore it's connected. So therefore, if it didn't participate in any of them, it's going to make both of them. It's going to invalidate both the Eruvin. It has two entrances. But is one which the mother uses. The mother uses it regularly. So the mother uses regularly. The chotzer uses regularly one mother. So for all the going in and out, etc. And it always sort of participates in one mother and always uses that mother. So if the use of the chotzer is mainly rugged, is rugged with one of the mothers, so that's the one which counts. And the other one is not. That's inside. So therefore, if it did not participate, so it becomes also. So it so then this chotzer is connected to only one of the mothers. Since it's connected to only one of the mothers, so therefore it didn't participate in either mother's Eruv. But it doesn't matter. The one which it doesn't, it has no connection to, even though there's a door there, but it doesn't usually connect. It doesn't usually use and so that mobile. So it doesn't usually use that mobile. So the fact that it didn't participate doesn't matter. And the other one she uses, it makes it also because he didn't participate in that area. Okay. Amar Rabbi Huna, so Rabbi Huna said, Ivo im she'ein regila bei huter regila la'atzim. What happens? This is a bit more on these dinim. It starts off basically because he wants to bring the connection to Shmuel, where he says that you can't, participate with two separate domains, and because it brings it up, so we discuss a bit more details in those dinim. So Amr was Eruvin she'ein regila bei. If what happens, this chotzer made the Erev with the one which is not rugged, which is not usually connected to. So if and it didn't make with the other one, which is usually connected to. So then huter gilat. So then it's the rugged is multiplied because the fact that it made the Erev even was the one which is not rugged to use. The fact that it made the Erev, it means it's decided to disconnect to the other mode, and now it's decided to connect with this mode. So therefore, the fact by making an Erev even with the Einer regular, if it makes an Erev even with the Einer regular, it has affected that both Erev and both modes are kosher, because with the Einer regular, because it participates in the Einer regular, and so even though it's Einer regular, by the fact participating shows that now it wants to connect to this mode. Therefore, it wants to connect it. So that's the Erev. And the ones regular by the mere fact that he made the Erev with the Einer regular, that showed that he's disconnected to the regular, and therefore he's disconnected to the regular. So there's no connection there. Therefore, they don't need him. That they want him to participate, and therefore, as long as they have him, they have an Erev, that's fine. The worst thing that he could do is to make an Erev also with the regular, and it would ruin everything, like we spoke about. Which is if the regular made an error for itself. So the one which is rogil, they made an error, but without him, without this chotz. And the one which is not rogil, which this chotz doesn't really want to, didn't make a shit moves. He atzma le'ira, and he didn't make the chotz make error. He atzma le'ira. The kids are the one which is not rogil. They didn't bother to make a shit voice. They're not going to be permitted to carry, and he didn't. He didn't make an error b'chal anyway, right? And the regular boy, they made the error themselves, and the any regular boy didn't make an error, of course, and he also is not ordered with that. So then, so we say that he belongs to the inner regular. So it's the koyach hachamim, the hachamim, masakin, the make it takwana. They say, you know what? Since they say these people made an error, the other people didn't make an error. So for the people who made an error, there's going to be a loss. There's going to be a loss for the people because of the fact that he's not ma'ariv with them. So it'll invalidate the error. So it'll invalidate the error for the people who made it. If we connect him, if the Chachamim will decide that they connect him to the other error, to the other mobile, they connect him to the other mobile. So then the people will be able to carry. So the Chachamim, they say they're masaken, and they say he now is connected to the inner regil. Just like a person himself can decide. They can decide, I'm connected to the inner regil. We had that before. He made an error and decided he's going to go with the inner regil. Fine. And not from now on he has a connection. From now on, they made him that he has a connection to the inner regil. And because why? Because it's only beneficial. It's beneficial to one side, and the other side doesn't lose. That's going there. That's klipin on this day. You force this day. That's a benefit to one, no loss for the other. So therefore, the chachamim do that. They connect them to the other one. And there is a machlekes rishonim whether it has any whether the person for this Shabbos at least have to walk only through the inner regular. Some say you have to walk only through the inner regular to show that this is what your connection is, or it doesn't have. It's not necessary. Actually, but that's the halacha. The Chachamim make him connect to the other one and not to the regular. Omer with the Shmuel Hamakbid al Eruvin, somebody's marked on the area that he wasn't like because all people are participating their bread in the area. You could go, you collect the bread from all the people. Everybody gives a bit of bread to participate in the area. And this one is marked. He wants his bread should have it. Nobody else should have it. So if this is marked that this piece of bread which he puts, nobody else should have. Ain't Eruvin. He disqualifies the area. Mashmoi Eruv. What's the name? Eruv. Eruv means all mixed. It's all the whole concept of the Eruv and the name of the Eruv, the concept of the Eruv. It's all mixed up. They're all shutfim. What belongs to you belongs to me as well. I also have a participant chelik in it, and therefore, when we don't mix, you're showing that you're marked. So then you disqualify the Eruv. So the whole concept of Eruv has been nullified. B'china says Eruv. It's still an Eruv. He gave the bread and participated with them together. They put it in one house, in one place. So it shows that he's using that. Okay, he wants his piece of bread, but his piece of bread is in the other person's house. So that means that they're all living in one place. So it still has the concept of Eruv, even though it's a little bit of a mean guy. So yeah, maybe not the best partner, but still a partner. The Anshavadina, they were kamtzonim, mean people. So the machlokes, if he's makbid then having his piece of bread, even though they're all sharing, because they're sharing the same place, they're putting the same place, etc. So is that enough to disqualify, to nullify the Eruv? According to Shmuel, it does nullify the Eruv. Then we have another similar halacha, which Omer Gudu Omer Shmuel. Chelik Eruvin, ein Eruvin Eruv. You take the Eruv, you put it into two vessels, so then it's not an Eruv. Again, because the whole thing is it's all, so even the food, you put it in the same house, everything. But if you take the food and you put it into two separate kelim, it means it's not a complete mixture. So it's ein Eruv Eruv. It's not an Eruv. So you want to ask the question, so are you trying to tell me that Shmuel is asking with B'Shamai? The Tanya learned the Brisa, Hamisha should go. You have 5 people who they took the bread together and then they put it in one place. So she goes to Ruba, they took the Eruv. They picked up the Eruv and they put it in 2 vessels. Shaman says it's not an Eruv. It's an Eruv. Even if the food is in 2 vessels, it's still an Eruv. So you see, it seems that the Chayr and Shmuel, it seems the Chayr that Shmuel, you can answer the because I don't have to answer. Yeah, I don't know what they're saying. Yeah. So Shimon means so it seems like the Shmuel is holding like this Hillel, and he's saying that so it's here from B'Shamai and saying that if you put in 2 separate kelim, it's not an Eruv, so it's the opinion of B'Shamai, which is a question. Of course, we don't pass my B'Shamai against this Hillel. So the Gemara says Shmuel doesn't pass my B'Shamai. Pilotem this Hillel, even Shmuel can be holding even the opinion, he can be following the opinion of this Hillel. Even though the Hillel, when does the Hillel say hello? That when does the Hillel say that yeah, it is an Eruv, even though it's 2 vessels? That is, if one vessel was filled, and then so because it wasn't enough room in one vessel, you put it in another vessel. The icer, you filled up the vessel and it didn't fit in anymore, so you had to bring another vessel. So this hill, they say, listen, if you didn't have enough space in one vessel and you needed to use another vessel, no. So it's still an Eruv. If you intentionally make it in 2 things, now you're showing that it's not Eruv. You're saying, well, why putting 2 separate kelim? So by putting 2 separate kelim, you're showing that it's not a real mixture. That's those people, there's 2 sets of people here. But the fact that you're showing 2 sets of people, that invalidates the Eruv. That's what Shmuel is saying. So everybody agrees that invalidates. One asks the question, why do we need the 2? Why do we need the 2 dinim of Shmuel? One that the person is makbid on Eruv, and that is not Eruv. That's the one halacha Shmuel said, and the other halacha when you divide into two vessels, it's not an Eruv. We can get the concept that concerning the food also has to be mu'uruv. It's one concept. So why does it need to say the 2 separate halachas? We need to specify the 2 halachas, even though it's a similar concept, that the Eruv is not just a passage the pshat you put in one place, but the whole food situation also has to be mixed. Let's say over there, in the case where the person is the person like he wants his piece of bread and nobody else should touch his piece of bread. Also, there's a positive hakpoda. The person is, he insists. There's a positive insistence. He doesn't want anybody to take from his bread, and he will eat from his bread. No, so that invalidates the Erev. That's going to make he's put into two vessels. That makes it two separate. It's not mixed. It's mixed. You can take from the. He doesn't care. He'll eat from somebody else, and that's what it's still considered mixed. So it's two vessels. Yeah. So I said, so that does not invalidate Erev. The Ashminaho would say over here, the case of the Kalim would say that it invalidates Erev. Because it's very visibly divided. It's visibly divided. So therefore it doesn't constitute an Erev. Of course, on when it's not visibly divided, I know the guy just doesn't want to show me from that anybody should touch his food, etc. But it looks, it's all together, so that's good enough. So I think that does not disqualify the Erev. That's why Shmuel had to say both of us. Oh, right. Oh, Mother Rabbi would have been affected the Beir of Zakai. So Rabbi said to the oil press of Rav Zakai. So over there. So it's happened this me on Shmuel Achelik Zeruvei Ein Eruvei Erev. Did Shmuel say that if you divide the Erev into two vessels, it's not an Erev? How can it be? Well, Shmuel said, the person who in whose house he put the Erev, he does not have to participate in the bread. So he does not have to participate in give bread. My time. What's the reason? Why does he not have to participate in give the bread? Because he has bread now. All the other people that are putting their bread in his house, he had 5 people, so all the 4 people like putting their bread in his house to show that they're living in the same house. He doesn't need to put bread to show that he's living in the same house. He has bread in his what's it called? He has bread in his house. So therefore, it's not necessary for him to give bread to put together. So, but one second, his bread which he has is in his keli. Here, the keli where they put it together is stem. So you see from that case that the person who does not have to do the bread. So you see that it's a 2 kelim, it doesn't matter. It's kosher. It's a kosher area, even though it's a 2 kelim. Why? Because the owner's bread is in usual customary places where he keeps. Let's say inside the owner keep actually become an area. The house where you put the area, he doesn't have to give bread. It doesn't have to be part of those who give the bread. My time allowed the given the monach b'salik, command the monach that sin it's lying in his basket where he keeps his bread, the usual place where he keeps his bread. So therefore, it's as if it's together with all the others, even though it's in a separate keli. Zachinami, give the monach b'salik, command the monach. Since it's in the basket, so it's as if it's together. The Gemara says, no, that's not the reason. That's not the reason why it's kosher without him, not because of his bread. The reason why he doesn't need to participate because he doesn't need bread. He doesn't need to give bread even without the bread. Why? Because what's the whole point? The whole point is he put all the breads together in one place. It shows they're all living in the same house. That's the point. The point of the breads are you put the bread where you live, right? And that's the food to the other all types of areas. So okay, so you're living here. So but Hitaka lives here. He doesn't have to show that he lives here. He lives here very much. So it's therefore he doesn't need bread. So Hosan Afbishain pass that even there's no bread. My time, what's the reason how the area works? They call it a diary because they're all living here. And Hitaka lives here. So that doesn't need the bread. Okay. Shmuel said, Erev Mishum Erev is a kinyan. That by giving an Erev, the fact that you give an Erev, so you're kind. So I'm putting the bread down, and therefore I get to live in your house, and you get the house, all the houses all become together. It's a whole Maisa kinyan. This Maisa kinyan is achieved by putting the bread, which I give the bread to everybody. So therefore, it's like I pay or give money. Therefore, in return, I get the whole area belongs to me as well. I gain a partnership in all the areas. So how does it work? It works through a kinyan. That's the concept of Erev. So the Shmuel says the Erev Mishum kinyan. So therefore, yeah. So in Tema, if you ask, if it's Mishum kinyan, the concept is kinyan that I give bread and everybody can take the mic. And because in return for that, I get participation in all the, in all the other stuff, in all the other chseros, in all buildings. So in Kim, then I give money. So people should be able to give money. Why have to give bread? So the Gemara answers because so Shmuel answers, the Gemara answers, because the money is not around the Erev Shabbos. People don't have money around. Probably spent it all in the first Shabbos, and the credit card doesn't work, right? So therefore, right. So therefore, they made the bread. The bread is to be left. Made chalas. The Shabbos is a mashenki to make it tekona based on money. People don't have money. It's not so good. So the Gemara says, one second. But okay, say that you don't need money. You can have bread as well. But what happens if somebody wants to participate in giving money? You should be permitted to give them money. Why is it the only way you participate in giving bread? Let's have that the option. So the Gemara says, because it's exagerated. No. People will say that the main thing is, of course, you have to be kind. So therefore, the main thing is a mom. Since the main thing is a mom, therefore the piece of bread, that's not really kosher enough, and therefore, and what's what happens? So then all of a sudden you'll get that people don't have the money, and therefore people won't participate. And sometimes some people won't have money, therefore they won't make the area, but the also will pass. And so they won't make the area pass because they won't make the area, and until the whole area business will keep forgotten. Yeah, so slowly it will diminish the usage of area. If you permit money, people think that's the main thing, and that once that's the main thing, it will diminish the usage of area. And so that's what the Chacham didn't want to use money, and only because that was the opinion of Shmuel. Rabbi says, Erev is not Shadi Kaina. It's just that you're living there. So it's the usage. You're using the place. It's not a kinyan. My benai, what difference does it make? Usage, kinyan, it's all. So what's the difference does it make technicality, how it works? I mean, the dearest, they don't belong to individuals. The dearest, sorry, they don't belong to the public. The dearest is private dearest. You make a show. It's like you're making a show of having participation. So if you're making a show of having participation, so what do you care if it's a show of opinion? Or not know what do you care. So what difference is there if it's a show of a dira, the opinion? The whole thing is a show that it belongs to all of us. It's not in reality that these chayes belong to everybody. So what's the argument? If it's a kinyan or dira, and the answer is yes, it does make a difference. The difference is because what technique do you use to show? And if that technique has to be in the halachas of that technique. If it's a technique of kinyan, then the halachas of Erev will follow the halachas of kinyan. The details and the technique of, if the technique of kinyan has halachas, and if the Erev is because of kinyan, that's the show is made by the process of kinyan. If the show is made by process of kinyan, so then you have to follow halachas of kinyan. And if the show is through process of dira, then it has to follow halachas of dira. So what's the practical difference if it's followed through the I don't know, maybe it's a good word, technique of dira or the technique of kinyan, right? That kli is a sudar, keli, because so can you make a kinyan sudar? So if it's a kinyan, you can use a kinyan sudar. Everybody should use a kinyan sudar, and that's why there should be kind of like money we don't want. Like I said before, we don't want money cause a diminishing of the use of air. The kinyan sudar, that's that you can use because it's kinyan. So you have to live that. So you put the bread that shows you're living that, because your bread is showing up a show of living. But kinyan, that's meaningless. Yeah, you need to have a show that you're inhabiting it. That's done through bread, and also posum show proof. So posum show proof if the air, the bread which you gave doesn't show proof. So on one hand, there is a show of living, because if you put the bread is like a show of living. But kinyan, it has meaningless. The show proof is meaningless. The same thing on a similar cotton. So a cotton is a Kenyan is can the cotton be the one who collects and brings together all the food for the air? So a cotton, he cannot make Kenyan, so he cannot be a participant in making Kenyan by him taking things. If he's taking the bread, so then he's mocking, he can't present the community. When he collects it and puts it in the house, so it's not relevant if the cotton or not. They're all living. If the bread is there, it gets there into the house. It's fine. They're all living in the house. It's not, you don't need a cotton will also be fine. He doesn't have to make the king. That's just some shot there.